At 93, my friends are all gone. This came from Japan. This has got excellent steel. But I smoked a pack a day for I don't know how many years. Keeping your mouth shut. They love that. I go to the market on a motorcycle or I drive my car and I take care of myself. Everywhere I went, paying, the little bit on the side, tea money. I have a drink once a day. I found the most important thing in life is...
So, Bill, how old are you now? And how long have you been in Thailand?
I'm 93, and I've been in Thailand since 1967. Before moving to Thailand, I was a U.S. Army Green Beret. I'd been in Vietnam and been to the Navy underwater training schools, and I became an instructor for the Green Beret for 8 years. Prior to that, I was in the Navy for 4 years. When I came to Thailand, after I went back, see what happened is the U.S. Army wanted me to go to Turkey back in the 60s. I don't know what was going on, but they wanted me to go to the Turkish language school for 1 year. So I left Thailand and went to the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California for 1 year. And I went through the Turkish language school. But at the same time, I bootlegged the Thai language on the side because we had plenty of time. And because I could speak Thai already, the Thai instructors there welcomed me to their class and showed me to all their students how to speak proper Thai. So I learned how to speak much more and write Thai while I was in the Turkish language school. And when the Turkish language school was over, so was I. I came back, I got out of the army and came back to Thailand. A friend, an engineer from Caltex, who worked for the big oil company, Caltex in Bangkok. Well, he hired me to be his foreman to build a grease plant. I was good with a PC, and I could read and write and make AutoCAD drawings. No problem at all. That's why I love to do it. So I was his foreman, and we built the grease plant for Caltex Bangkok. I worked for him, and he had this car that was his daughter's back in '91. He says, it's yours, and for partial payment, And I took it, brand new. Well, this is the last model that they brought in from Japan. '92, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
This came from Japan. This has got excellent steel. This got hit by a motorcycle. But it's all in good shape. You see the mileage?
463,413.
Half a million.
500,000
kilometers.
Kilometers on there.
But look, see how good it sounds compared to vehicles today. Listen to the sound. Not that clack sound, huh?
And you still drive it every day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whenever I need it, I drive it. And I had what's called a diplomatic passport. They give you those Green Berets had diplomatic passports. And then I went to the Thai immigration, the big one, and I threw myself on their mercy because I could speak Thai already. And they really loved that back in those days. Mm-hmm. Very few people. And they said they would do everything they could to help me get a resident visa. And I submitted my paperwork when I came back to Thailand in 1970. Mm-hmm. And I paid, everywhere I went, paying, the little bit on the side, tea money. Well, every place I went, they didn't want the tea money. They said, you're a good guy. We like you. You don't pay nothing. So actually, my resident visa cost me the basic cost of the paperwork and stamps was 7,500 baht. But finally, I got my resident visa, and I went to Bangkok to pick it up. And everybody congratulated me. They were so happy. And the one guy that I paid a lot of commission to, gave me half of my money back.
Oh, yeah?
So it worked out quite well. Being in the right place and keeping your mouth shut. Being a silent, obedient person that made no noise. They loved that.
What was Pattaya like back in those days?
Pattaya was dirt road, beach side was dirt road. There was only 2 hotels. The one hotel was the Nippa Lodge, and across that street near the Nippa Lodge was the Pattaya Hotel. And the Pattaya Hotel was owned by an old Thai lady called Joan Sawat. And I became good friends with her when I was down. And the Pattaya Beach had a lot of horses. They gave horse rides to the Bangkok people who came down on weekends. And there was nothing really on the beach except the palm trees, and there was the Thai boathouse halfway down the beach that the king would sail out of when he made his presence here. I would say there were not many more than 800 people. There was no place for me. I opened my little shop in Naklua because I had nothing in Pattaya. And I opened with my Thai girlfriend. She opened a coffee shop in Naklua, and I opened a little shop to supply people with dive gear when they came down from Bangkok. So I purchased dive gear slowly, and the reason I was able to do that is because I got several dive jobs. Being a diver, a military diver, while I was here in the very, very beginning. I knew all of the Thai dive people in Sadahip. I knew the commander Udom. We were really good friends. So they loaned me some equipment to do these jobs. And then I did these jobs and I got my money to buy my own equipment. And eventually I had a dive shop in Naklua. My dive shop expanded and I got bigger on the beach, right there on the beach. In fact, the building is still there today. And I built that and did real well. And I taught scuba diving for the Professional Association of Diving Instructors, PADI. And I gradually went from there and became pretty famous for my diving. And I did commercial dive work also. Contracts would come and go. And it went well. And I didn't have to do anything else. I was busy.
So if you're like me and you travel around a lot, different cafes, restaurants, airports and whatnot, you are connecting to many different Wi-Fis along your way. Once you're connected, you naturally just get on with what you're doing, whether it be emails, banking, or anything else you're up to online. But the reality is you have no idea who else could be on those networks. And it's not necessarily about some obvious attack, but it's subtle tracking in the background. Your data gets collected, sites build profiles, and phishing emails are so convincing that one wrong click could cause a lot of chaos in your life. This is exactly why I use Surfshark VPN. I leave it running in the background. It encrypts everything. It hides my location and protects me everywhere, not just on Wi-Fi. Beyond security, I can switch location and get access to content that I wouldn't be able to otherwise. And I can sometimes get better deals online for things like flights, car rentals, and hotel bookings. If you would like to try it out for yourself, you can now use my code word NAKEDGURU, download the app, or go to www.surfshark.com/nakedguru. And that's a money-back guarantee, so if it doesn't work out for you, you can get your money back. The links are below in the pinned comment and the description. You only ever had one wife here, is it? Or did you have
one wife, right. Her name was Pin Sri. We had a daughter nicknamed Cherry, and she now has a family with 2 kids. But my daughter from been three. She lived in our family until A left me. I let her go because she was quite young. And she was always having problems about not being able to do this or not having done that or this. So I had to eventually just let her go. And I took the responsibility of our daughter myself. So I put my daughter through school, and I put her through the big school in Sriracha, the Catholic convent.
And did you always live here in this village here in this area?
I first lived here. I hired a house in Naklua, and I lived there until I bought a home in Ekamunkun on Soikautalo here. And I bought that home in 2002. I went through the whole bank process, because I was here legally. I had a job. I had the references. I met all the requirements. But the only thing they couldn't do was put it in my name. They had to put it in her name because she's Thai. It's illegal to put it in a foreigner's name. I think later they made some provisions for you could get your money back if you did buy a home like I did. But that didn't apply to me because it was so long ago. And I bought the home and I paid for it in 10 years. And when she sold it, I had a place to go and move all my furniture and everything. But she she spoiled that deal. She crimped that deal and then just took everything. She gave me some money. She did pay off my cancer surgery, which I had, brain surgery, which I was in debt for, something like 300,000 baht. And I was paying on that on a monthly basis, and that was paid off, and she gave me 200,000 baht in the bank.
And now at age 93, you care for yourself here?
I have the same, her brother's wife lives right over here.
Okay, so she helps you.
She comes over and cleans the house once a week.
Okay, but other than that, do you have any other help or not?
No, I don't need any. I do it myself. I get in the car, I go shopping, I ride a motorcycle, I go to the market on a motorcycle, or I drive my car and go to Foodland or go to Lotus or whatever. I buy my own, I do my own cooking. I take care of myself. And I've had some major surgery on both body and head, but it's kept me going. In fact, yesterday I went and gave a blood test because the doctor couldn't see anything on my last physical examination a month ago, but he noticed some riser or something in my blood. So I went yesterday and gave more blood. And he saw that it was, I think it was a cancer marker, is rising. But he never saw any cancer when they took the test. So now I got to go again and take some CT scans. I'm not going to let them cut in my body anymore, but that's not necessary. If I have to do some medication, they can give me radiation treatment or what have you. At 93, my friends are all gone.
And don't you have a sister that is also in her 90s?
Yeah. My sister, Dorothy Fay, she lives in Colorado, doing quite well. And funny you should mention that. She just became friends with one of my first girlfriends I met back in the U.S. in Colorado. She lived there. Her name was Peggy Gonzalez. And she became a true love. And she was young, Catholic girl. She wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do with her life and was hesitant about almost everything. And I left Peggy, and that was back in 1962. And only this year, now I'm talking to Peggy again.
How old is she now?
85.
Okay. She's still a young buck.
Yeah. And she still loves me like she has all these years.
Did she get married or not?
Oh, she got married, had a family. Husband had a big boat they sailed on. She did quite well. And I'm happy for her. But I'm still her love.
Is she still married now, or is he?
I don't know. I don't want to ask her. I just compliment her on this and that. And I told my sister about it, and she says, "Oh my God," because she knew back then too. You see. So here we are, reestablishing contact.
Would you ever go back, Bill, or?
Nah. Go back now? It's possible. If I had to have somebody take care of me later on in my health money. But my daughter living here, she could do the same thing just as much. And there's nothing back there anymore for me except my sister and Peggy.
Yeah.
But Peggy has her life and her family and kids now. All we had is our interlude.
Were you ever a drinker or a smoker?
I smoked until I was 67.
Oh. From what age?
From 17.
17 to 67 you smoked?
Yes.
And what about beer? You ever drank beer?
I never drank a lot of booze, but I had, like most guys, I would have my beer. I enjoyed beer. I never drank hard whiskey. I drank a lot of beer when, like kids and what have you, in the military. But I smoked a pack a day for I don't know how many years. And then I took a trip back to the U.S. in early 2000. And I went through Hong Kong, and I landed in the USA, went to Denver to be with my sister, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I hurt very badly, really, really bad. And come to find out, I had attracted COVID-1, SARS. And while I was laying there in pain, breathing, I kept thinking, if I survive this, I gotta quit smoking. Really. So I quit smoking in 2002. Cold turkey. And then when I came back to Thailand, I went and talked to all my friends who smoked. And I convinced a good many of them to stop smoking. Because I said, it's the only thing to do. And I believe that's why I'm still here, because I quit smoking.
And what about drinking? Did you stop drinking, or do you still have a beer? Or?
Oh, I have a drink once a day. A glass of whiskey, not a glass, a shot.
Okay.
I've got some real old Thai whiskey. Sangso made it for export, for the European export market. It was called Sang Similan. Have you ever seen any?
No.
Let me show you.
Yeah. So this is Similan, right? 25 years old. So you just
They stopped making it.
You stopped making it, did they?
And my buddy who owns a liquor store right here on Kautalo, back in those early years when I first came here, I said, hey, listen, this is good booze. I really like it. And I said, can you get some more? And he says, I'll go take a look at Sangsom in Bangkok. So he went to Sangsom in Bangkok way back then. And Sangsom said, oh, we quit making that, but we have some in the go-down. And you go ahead and take a look. And he said, and they told him, if you want any of that in the go-down, you got to buy it all. So he bought it all and been supplying me now for more than 10 years, 15 years. And right now he still has 2 more cases that he's kept for me.
Oh, yeah?
It's all gone now. I buy a case of 12 bottles for 2,800 baht.
And so you'll have a shot of that every day?
I have a shot at 6 o'clock. I put it in a soft drink, and I'll sit at my computer at 6 o'clock and do my email and do my other stuff and have my drink.
And what about social life now? Do you have friends? Do you socialize still, or?
Well, when I lived in my house up there a year ago, that's probably one of the most important things that helped me achieve my longevity. It's all these years I had my good friends in front, side, back, everything, and we kept good relations, happy, friendly relations, laughing and what have you. And there were kids in the neighborhood that kept up the same atmosphere. And this, they tell me, the doctors tell me, is or what I've read about, promotes longevity in life. And I miss that now that I don't have it in my old house where I used to live. But I have it here with the kids. And they all like me, and I always make sure they get a little ice cream or something every day when they start playing in the evening. And they make a lot of noise and they have a lot of fun. And people ask me, doesn't that bother you? And I says, I love it.
And at 93 now, for you, what have you learned in your life and what do you think is important?
I found the most important thing in life is to never let your temper take control. Keep your temper under control at all times. You don't have to. In fact, you'll be more successful without a temper. That's what I found. Mm-hmm. Just be your jolly, conventional self, and make sure of your own comfort. And I don't. Loneliness doesn't exist for me.
Are you a Buddhist?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. You weren't always a Buddhist. Why did you become a Buddhist? What was it for you?
Well, I studied Catholicism, and I studied. My folks grew up. We were religious, Lutheran, maybe Baptist. I'd go to Baptist Sunday school. I've been to Lutheran schools, and I had been to other religious schools. And then I came to Thailand with the Green Berets. And I was in Lopburi, Thailand with the Green Berets. And I became friends with a Buddhist monk, very, very well-educated young monk. And we talked a lot, and I got to meet him. I met him through my ex-wife, of course, because she was Buddhist. So I met him, and he told me all about the monkhood. And I liked it, the way it's just common sense. Being good, you don't have to be a saint, but you just have to be a good person, and there's a lot that means behind that. So I got more interested, and then before I got married to my Thai wife back then, see, I'd been here after the Green Beret and trying to build a dive shop, all this going on. And then at that time, my future wife and the Buddhist monk, they said, you should go into monkhood before you get married. Then you will learn a great deal. And so I said, I would, but I don't have a sponsor. And that Buddhist monk said, I will be your sponsor. So I did. And I went into monkhood for a period. And I was going to get out. I wasn't in the monkhood for life. But it's a normal thing that most Thai people want their son to do, is to go into monkhood a term before he begins his own life. And he gets very good guidance on how to live the next life. It's like you're born again, you know. And I liked it very much.
And do you believe that when you die, you'll be born again?
No, I don't believe anything like that. It might be possible, but I don't believe in anything concrete like that. And I wasn't taught anything concrete like that. My temple in Lopburi, it was all common sense, which I like.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel now about getting older? You told me you want to live till 95, right?
Yeah, I'm aiming for that without having any pain, you know. If I don't have any pain, I'll go further than that. But I've always had the feeling myself, I'll probably go at 95. My dad went at 91. And everybody else went way before that. So I'm here, way out here all by myself at 93. And I've got a few small aches and pains. About 2 or 3 months ago, I had shingles. And at 93, you don't want to get shingles. As I sit here now and I think about the end time, I don't say death, but I think about the end time, I hope it's like when I go to bed. When you go to bed and really sleep good, you don't know anything. You're just gone, right? Well, if it's like that, that's not so bad. And other than that, I can't think what it would be like. So nothing bothers me at this age. I don't feel cheated. I've had my life, I've seen much more. I've been around the world several times. I've been to most places in the world. And so I don't really have any regrets.
Well, that's perfect place to end there, Bill. Thank you for inviting me today and sharing your story.
You think it's worth anything?
I think it's worth a lot, my friend. Yeah, it is. It's 92 years of history.